because unfortunately my guest just didn't wasn't here. I had to go live, and that's it. And I'm like, dun, 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 friends help, and with some friends, silver lining. My guest didn't show up, but here we got LP paramedic. We're going to be calling, and we have a caller. I'll formally introduce you, LP, but he's the host of Trigger Warning Talk podcast, and there's so many other things. But today we're just talking about silver linings in bad situations, since it's Good Friday, Passover for others, all sorts of. It's a holiday weekend. We'll just put it that way. I don't like to pigeonhole to any type of belief, but happy Easter from. We got caller Joe Potosi on the line. Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for calling in.
Hello, Tiffany and Ed, and it's good to hear you guys today. I haven't been around for a couple of weeks, but thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for
I love
calling.
what Ed said. Yeah, I love what Ed said about. You mentioned the whole trust issue. I think you both were talking about that and how it can be lost, and hard to restore that trust as a child in particular. But I recently spoke to some people about some of my experiences, and the one lady I just read my book, she asked me what kept me going, and that silver lining. I thought tomorrow will be the day. Tomorrow will be the day my dad returns. That was my mindset for a long time.
Tomorrow's the day that what? I'm having trouble hearing you, Joe.
Okay. Hang on one second. Hang on 1 second. I'm going to turn this off. Sorry. 1 second.
Hey, so LP, how are you anyway while we're waiting for him to come back?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Better than I thought I would be a few minutes ago, but thanks for coming and joining. And Joe, you back?
I'm back. Hello.
Dead silence is not good for radio. So, okay.
I apologize. So, the silver line for me was essentially just never give up, never quit, in spite of how things may look. And there's nothing so bad in one's life that you have to just take your own life. I talk about that in my book, suicidal ideations, but the silver lining for me, a big part of my silver lining was my siblings, my younger brothers. I had to be there for them. I had to be that father figure, and some people can relate to that, some people can't. But that was my situation, and that's what kept me motivated and kept me going to where I'm at today. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sometimes family is what we need to carry us through hard times. And whether it's a really bad day or truly terrible situation, life will try to knock us down. But fortunately, we have coping strategies, and they've been proven and found to be effective at minimizing the hardships and effects of hardship. But one simple, powerful way to enhance resilience to a silver lining within is to find silver linings, basically. To get through a terrible situation is to try to find that. And one thing is to be optimistic. Learned optimism is a skilled link to motivation. So it's not always easy to be optimistic, but we have to be at times. We have to look for the silver lining, so to speak, because otherwise we're going to let a bad situation tear us down, and tomorrow's promised to no one.
Right.
Bad things happen to good people. It's how we react to them that define our character.
Right.
So thanks for calling in. I hope you're feeling okay.
Doing okay, yeah. Doing all right. We hope you guys have a great weekend and talk to everyone soon. Be well.
But thanks for calling in. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, Joe.
Anyway, so LP, how do you find the silver lining in rough situations?
I use multiple modalities. I was thinking about this topic as I was listening to Joe, and I wrote down 5 things that I have experienced in my 52 years on this side of the dirt. On those situations that I wrote down, I thought about the silver linings in those situations. So I thought about this pandemic, thought about my divorce, thought about my experience being on the receiving end of bullying as a kid. I thought about bad situations that I've had in business early on, and in education, some of the struggles that I went through as I was working towards getting my medic license. And when I thought about each of those situations, I can give you a specific on each one. However, um, I'll say that for the next part of the show. My
Both are hosting today. Okay.
hosts are hosting today. So
Is there a way you can turn your video sideways landscape so we can see you more clearly? We didn't get to prepare since he came. Dun, 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 to there. That's so much better. And you don't look so far away. I'm hosting this show though,
you're
so
hosting.
that's an inside joke because last time LP was on, which was just like last week, he just came and I have all his information already still up from last week, kind of. But
Yeah,
he was leading us in and out of breaks, deciding when to take a call or other stuff. I'm like, who's the host here?
it's all about love, you know. Uh, my thought about bad situations is, you know, how people say L's. You got to learn how to take an L. I don't call them losses. I call them lessons. I had to change my whole thought process and my whole vernacular. I don't call them L's. I call them, in terms of losses, I call them lessons. So this is what I do to look at these bad situations and say, you know, what's the lesson in this? Because I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe everything that happens, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, is meant to happen. Of course, we don't want the bad and the ugly or even the indifferent, but that's life. And so as we get older, I believe that when these bad situations happen, you have to look at it from a holistic point of view. You know, what was your role in it, if any? What was the other person or people who were involved in? What was their role? How can you avoid this situation happening again? You know, how do you avoid it? How do you define it? How do you defend it? You know, you have to have that. I call it the ADD. You know, avoid, define, defend.
You're so clever. No, yes, avoid, but sometimes we can't avoid other things, certain
Sometimes
things.
you can't avoid it.
It's learning coping skills to when we face certain challenges in life. We all have them. How we're going to respond.
Yeah,
You know, we can't avoid a lot of things. Unfortunately, you can't avoid illness. You can't avoid like there's certain things that we could try to prevent or make it. I can't think of the word, but prevent or prolong. That's what I'm thinking of. And I knew it was with a P, but sometimes there's some crap that comes our way that's inevitable, and it's what we're gonna do with it. So we said talking about silver linings and being optimistic is one thing. Another thing is being grateful. Having gratitude
absolutely.
because it's amazing ability to energize coping and positivity during the bleakest of times. And when facing challenges, appreciating valued aspects of life has a way of putting things into more manageable perspective. So like let's say like facing job change or something different or going through a possible divorce or financial issues or whatever. There's silver linings in everything where if these things are happening, how we react, how we cope with them we can learn these coping skills so that they don't really bring us down. That like there's so many situations. I mean, like ironically, this is Good Friday for many of us, which is when we celebrate and give thanks and remember the day that Jesus died on the cross. I mean, and people are celebrating that, but it's kind of a silver lining because without that, we wouldn't have Easter, you know? So you kind of put that in perspective of how silver linings and bad situations for today on being Good Friday
Yeah.
is also like, if he hadn't gone through that, we wouldn't have certain religions, you know, a lot of them.
Yeah. You know, for me, I think about the modalities that I've used also. Some of them are metaphysical, so cognitive behavior therapy. I know some people in my family are using EMDR for some of the bad situations. Uh, Yoga, Reiki, EFT, the tapping.
You know, all these acronyms are going
All
over
of
people's
this.
heads. But you know what I mean? There are a lot of different treatment
So
modalities.
many different modalities that I've utilized personally and referred people to those different modalities to let them know that, hey, you know what? There's so many different ways. You don't have to just use alcohol. You don't have to just use narcotics. You know, you don't have to become an abusive person because you were abused in these bad situations. Learn how to cope and overcome these whatever adverse childhood experiences that you've had, whatever situations that you've had. Find those silver linings because it could be as simple as, you know what, when bad crap happens to me, at minimum, I just smile because I know this is just a temporary situation. If I'm in a bad situation regarding my intimate partner, you know, maybe counseling will help. If I'm in a bad situation with my children, not only counseling can help, but since we're talking about religion, you know, you might, uh, you know, turn to your religious leader to maybe give you a word of encouragement or come from a biblical perspective on how to deal with that
Which leads
situation,
to hope,
which leads to hope.
right?
Uh,
That's what most religions are. We have a caller. So
okay.
we have caller Albert. Albert, thanks for calling in. Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany.
Hey, Albert.
Hello. Hey, LP, how are you?
Caller,
I appreciate you taking my call. Um,
first time caller.
for me, hold on one second. I'm playing the show in the background. I have to stop it. For me, I dealt with quite a bit as a child. I grew up in domestic violence and child abuse, but I've always been blessed in that I've always known that my situation could have been worse. And because of that, I've been able to see that silver lining. I've tried to go after that and weaponize it to protect me and propel myself forward. And I've always been humble that despite what I went through has been so bad, I knew others didn't have the opportunities that I was able to have or make for myself. And I've made my purpose using my background and experiences to prevent others from going through that type of stuff. So I grew up in child abuse and domestic violence, and I served in law enforcement. I'm an attorney that was for a while litigating for social services, and now I do a lot of training and stuff. And so I know how hard it is when you're in that storm to be able to see that silver lining, but it's important to be able to push through and seek it out because there's so many people that have backgrounds like myself that just stay in the storm. They never look for that silver lining. And then they end up in these really negative, toxic type of lifestyles, or they engage in self-medication through substance abuse, or end up incarcerated or perpetuating the cycle. So I really appreciate the topic that you have today because as hard as it is, nobody can do this for you. It's a mental step that you have to make yourself. You have to take it
So
yourself. You have
true.
to be self-aware.
So true. And, you know, Albert, I know that we need to talk, but my past story, I lost my parents when I was young. And it's a long story. You can hear all about it on Larry Penton's Trigger Warning Talk podcast on Spotify and go to the episode about me and hear my whole journey back there. But if they hadn't passed away, and I'm not saying that was easy, like putting myself through school and like what the F do I do? I didn't say the word ed. Anyway, but it was not easy, right? But I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't gone through that, and other things as well that come with having to take care of yourself when you're a teenager, 18 exactly. But I wouldn't be a therapist, and I definitely wouldn't be trying passionately for the past 8.5 years to be ending the stigma on mental health, because I saw how much mental health impacted my life. And you can get derailed so easy from a trauma if you're not
Yes.
looking for that silver lining. It can derail, and then you got to figure out how to get yourself back on track, because you can let the bad things overcome you and figure out, like, I
So I
basically,
actually have a question for you, if I may.
you're doing that,
Um,
what you were saying, self-destruct and things like that, or we can use it as a learning opportunity and try to figure out what's the next step and how to get through it. Go ahead, Albert. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. For me personally, I wouldn't go back and change anything about what happened in my past, because I wouldn't have the life that I have. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have my family. I wouldn't be able to do the work that I am able to do today. So my question for you is, would you be able to say something similar? If you could go back
Yes,
and
I
change your
say
past,
that.
would you?
Sadly, yes. I mean, I miss my parents and everything, but if if I knew it would make me end up to where I am today, I wouldn't change anything. No, I don't know. I'd probably be like a marketing agent or some sort of salesperson, because I can talk the dog into wanting to be a cat if I wanted to. uh, but but I don't know if I'd be into therapy, because the whole stigma part was that when my mother died, right before she had a brain aneurysm, and my father, then two grandparents, and then my father, all within 4 years of college, basically. And my father, when I asked to see somebody, because I said I was not handling it well, because I found my mother on the bathroom floor from a brain aneurysm, he's like, "You're not crazy. You don't need help." So those words, in just a nutshell, I'm just gonna leave the story there, and you can hear it on Larry's trigger warning podcast if you want the whole story of my background. Talk podcast. Sorry. But anyway, if he didn't say that, I wouldn't have felt the stigma, because later on I realized I did need help. I was getting derailed and all that stuff, and so it led me to be a social influencer trying to change the world's mind on mental health. I don't know that I would be passionate about that if that didn't happen. So no, I wouldn't change anything. There's an exercise that they do for psychologists too. When we do trainings and stuff like that, they have everybody put their problems into a basket. Like, put it in a paper, write down your problems on like a little small piece of paper, fold it up and put it in a basket. They shuffle them up, and everybody pulls out their someone else's problem or whatever. And the question is, would you rather have that problem, or you want your problem back, your life back, basically? And everybody chose to have their life back. And the reason is because that's what we know. That's what we know we can handle. That's what we're used to. And that's the life we are familiar with. And that's someone we know we can handle. And that's what experience brings us, and coping skills and all of that. We would rather have our own problems than someone else's. So it's so weird that people compare their problems to other people's, because when it comes down to it, we'd rather have our own back at the end of the day than someone else's.
That's true.
Did I answer your question, Albert?
Yes, it does, and I really appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate you pushing through like the technical difficulties in what we do. But I can relate to it, because sometimes when I present, I feel like maybe I'm not getting the message across, or maybe I'm not making a great enough impact. But I think it's important to understand that we are having that ripple effect, and at some point our drop will become a tsunami. So I was presenting on my background a few weeks back, and I always used to look over the evaluations and see whatever the flaws were, whatever the issues were, and I would sometimes change my whole presentation to appease those people. But I've started to look at the silver lining in that I know I'm making an impact even if I don't see it, and I have become more intentional about speaking about suicide and mental health. And the last presentation I did, I had a detective come up to me afterwards, and he shared that I encouraged him to speak about his son recently committing suicide. And because he shared that story, it created that ripple effect to where now he's presenting to other people and making noise and creating awareness about mental health and stuff. So to me, that was a silver lining. If I didn't impact anybody else that day, I at least had this one individual who then turned around and started speaking out and making noise about mental health. So I appreciate the show and what you're trying to do, and know that you have supporters and followers, even if you have to have LP and you have to teach them that you're actually the host.
That's just fun. Putting LP in his place is just made my day.
And I'm still promoting the book. You know what I'm saying? Keep with all that.
Oh, so that's you, Albert, in the comments. And we'll get talking. Begin the new cycle. Thank you for calling in. It's time for our break, but I'm very, very, very grateful for everyone, all the comments, and coming to the rescue today. I felt like I was just gonna have to talk. I warned Ed, I'm like, be ready, I'm gonna be talking. And he's like, I can't be here the whole time. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to wing it. I'm going a cappella, just going to. But the topic was financial advice. That was not going to come from me, so I had to change it last second. But they say as a live radio host, you always have to have something in your back pocket.
Always gotta have something.
Anyway, Albert, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much. Happy Easter. Have a wonderful weekend. And
thanks, Albert.
And it's time for a second break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Please stay tuned. And we'll be back with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. See you guys in just a few moments.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
If you are like most people, you worry with the financial challenges you face today. How do you protect your family from financial ruin? How will you reduce your liabilities and get out of debt sooner? And how can you deal effectively with the constant changes in your job, your career, and your business? Overcoming your financial challenges is like building a house. You must build from the ground up. You must learn how to make more money, save more money, grow your money, and protect your money. Forever Forward Financial specializes in teaching you these 4 basic money skills so you can achieve your dreams and end your worry. Call us today and schedule your complimentary, no-obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. Call Scott Bigley at 727-422-7761.
Hi, this is your host, Tiffany Warner from Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I want to thank you for all your support on ending the stigma on mental health for over the past 7 years and with over 600 episodes, as well as several award nominations and placing as a finalist in 3 categories on the People's Choice Podcast Award last year. If you're listening to this on audio, please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Moments of Clarity with Tiffany and enjoy viewing previous shows in case you miss any live. If you're interested in advertising and would like to promote your company, it is affordable and an effective way to get your company the attention it deserves. I also welcome potential guests as well, and all information can be found on my website at mocwithtiffany.com. Thank you again for your continued support, as change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Hello and welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today with me is LP, Larry Penton Consulting Services and Counseling, and 911 rescuer in so many different ways. And I say that my guest didn't show up, and I was already starting to go live, and I texted him and said, "Can you be a 911 emergency fill-in?" And dun-da-da, here he is. And thanks for everyone with the chat. And comments and for the callers too as well. But there's so many people that are supporting the show in the live chat. You see that, Larry?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm reading the chat and I'm typing as well. So thank you everyone for joining in, and definitely keep coming back every Friday from noon to 1 o'clock Eastern time. We love the callers like Albert and Joe Potosi and anyone else that wants to call in. When I think about this silver lining, and like I said, I'll expound on the 5 things that I wrote down. So for me, I found a silver lining in the pandemic. Uh, I retired because of my wife's medical issues and my proximity to COVID patients, and all my coworkers were getting it. And, I didn't want to lose her due to all of that. So that's why I retired. Um, but retiring, that helped me create this new business that you just mentioned, Penton Pending Consulting Solutions LLC. It allowed me to be the entrepreneur that I always wanted to be. It allowed me to meet people like you and people like Albert and people like my work partner, Dexter Peggins, and so many other people. It allowed me to start my Trigger Warning Talk podcast, all 4 words. It allowed me to interview so many people, because there's another Trigger Warning Talk out there, but ours is Trigger
There's
Warning.
a lot of moments of clarity I had to put with Tiffany.
Right.
I laughed because you were so right on there.
Right.
Because I kept forgetting the words talk podcast.
So
LP and I have some inside jokes for some
yeah.
reason. It just makes me laugh. But
Yeah. Being
silver
divorced,
linings are really important. And you
right. Being divorced, that bad situation was I married the mother of my children. We got married twice because we met as teenagers. We met in high school, different high schools, but that's where we met. That's when we met. And all the lessons that I learned, all the silver linings. I mean, the woman I'm married to now, Mrs. LP, as everybody calls her, is the best thing since sliced bread in my world.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would go through all of those things every day and twice on Sunday. I wouldn't change anything. Now, there may have been some things, let me restate that. There may have been some things I would have done anyway. I would have done them sooner. I don't think I would have done anything differently in terms of, I wouldn't have done that. Of course, you can play Monday morning quarterback or hindsight is 2020. But again, I just believe everything happens for a reason. The issue with the divorce, it delayed me from getting my medic license back in 2009. I ended up getting it in 2017.
Maybe you weren't supposed to get it in 2009.
Maybe so.
The silver lining, because you don't know what you would have missed out on if you were licensed earlier. That's the point. Right. Don't start heading into should-haves by accident. Just stay on what we have now.
Yeah, no should.
A lot of don't should yourself. Stop shitting yourself. Let's just, especially a holiday weekend with a lot of people that celebrate during holidays. I don't know what you guys all do for Easter. If you spend it with relatives, if you're stressed out about cooking, if you're stressed out, you have to see people that you don't want to see. I don't know. That happens during holidays to a lot of people. There's a silver lining. It happens once a year. Get through the holiday. Remember, it's something to celebrate. And then the next one's further away. Usually, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're like, man, it's only a couple of months between. But this one you got time. It's just supposed to be time with family, and there's one in every family. So just remember that you only have to see them that day.
Yeah,
you can always Uber home.
Remember, I told you we're getting ready to get this house. We close next Thursday. I went all the way back because I was talking to Mrs. LP, and we were having a very similar conversation about bad situations and silver linings, even though we didn't title it that. But this is so apropos for today. And one of the things that we talked about, because she's been married twice before, I've been married twice before, even though it was to the same person. And
Wait, you got married, divorced, and then married the same person?
yeah, the mother of my children. Yeah, we got married twice. So you see how I was like, and even in that situation,
That's
so
beautiful, but man,
yeah,
the divorce probably costed money, and then you're like, damn it, went through all that for nothing. But then you appreciate each other more second time around.
I can't say we appreciate each other more. What I will say is the lessons that I learned after the second time, because I never wanted to feel like I didn't do everything that I could have done on my
I
part.
know the feeling,
And
right?
so that was a huge part
Especially
of
with kids.
why, yeah, that was a huge part of the reason why I said, hey, you know what? Let's try it again. I mean, we were young when we got married, we were young when we got divorced. And I was just like, we didn't do everything for my satisfaction to salvage this relationship. Let's give it another shot. We both came from broken homes and different things like that. So all of those things that we did not do the first time, I said, let me make sure I'm doing my part in what I can do to hopefully make this second marriage a lifelong process and a lifelong enjoyable learning experience. And when it didn't work out, I said, okay, I'm remarried again to Mrs. LP. And I thought about all the things that my ex-wife and I put in play when we were together the first time. We had a house before that went away after the first divorce. When we got remarried, we ended up having another child. Our youngest child, her name is Lucy. She'll be 16 this year. So if we hadn't gotten remarried, we would have never had our daughter. Like that would have been it. Like we would just had 5 boys. That was it. So I can say the silver lining from us being remarried, even though we got divorced, that was the bad situation. The silver lining was we got a beautiful daughter out of the picture. So I always look for that glass. I always look at that glass as half empty. Half full. Half full.
Right. Good things come out of bad things, and we have 5 minutes. Let me wrap up, and I want to get to this last comment too. But like Albert said, want to highlight what was said. Silver linings can be lessons learned. We know what doesn't work now, and we can try something different now. And Larry, thank you so much for sharing that personal stuff. Like very much, very heartfelt. Judy off of Facebook says people that have family complain about family, and I'm right on top of that too. Most of mine have passed away. People that don't have family want it, but I've learned without family is that I get to pick my own, and I don't have to be in toxic surroundings like people that have family they don't get along with. And Judy, you and I are 2 peas in a pod. And she goes, oh, wait. I love these comments. Happiness is a choice, but sometimes difficult to have it. It's always a choice when it comes to it. I'd like to close with that. Thank you, Judy. Tinkin Facebook. Thank you for watching, and thanks for the comments that are just, I couldn't agree more, because I'm one that had to learn how to celebrate holidays by myself for a little bit, and create my own traditions and things like that. And it's nice to be able to pick and choose who you get to have around. Anyway, for everyone, have a wonderful holiday weekend. Please be safe. LP, thanks for being here and everything. And Larry said, I concur. You could have just said that out loud, but okay.
I'm trying to multitask here. Look, love me. That's all. Just love me.
Judy, I'd love to see if that works out. Just message me on Facebook, or email at mocwithtiffany@gmail.com. You guys, Ed's giving me the 2-minute warning. Be kind to yourself and a stranger. You never know what they're going through. And please have a wonderful and safe weekend. And everyone, see you next Friday, 12 to 1. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, LP, for being here. Thanks, Ed. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, you're so alive. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity.